Hi everybody, I'm David Huff, CPA with DW Huff Consulting, bringing you the September 8th, 2023 edition of News from the Front Lines of Business, where we help small business owners build, grow, and enjoy their wealth. So Friday, once again, is on us. We made it through another week, hopefully. Everybody made it through okay. Just a reminder, this September 15th deadline is sneaking up on us really quick here for your business entity. So your S corporations and partnerships are due now. Personal stuff and C corps aren't due until October. But anyway, it's all the final extended due dates are coming up quick here. So keep that in mind if you haven't already filed, and figure something out. So anyway, so the topics that I've come up with our clients this week that we think will be useful to you, we'll just kind of jump right in. So the first one is this concept here of house hacking. So seeing tons of this stuff lately on YouTube and TikTok and stuff, and it'll be presented in a way, just an overview of what it is. So basically, it's like you get a mortgage for a house, and either you rent out a room in that house to somebody, or you get like a double, or you can go as big as a fourplex, where you occupy some portion of the overall property, rent out the remaining part, and use that money to pay the mortgage. And in theory, it brings your mortgage down. Some of the examples have it bringing the mortgage down to, when you net everything out, down to zero, and that's I don't think it's really realistic. So, but in any case, you can bring the mortgage down substantially, and of course, it's easier. So the advantages here that obviously, when we look at the left-hand side of my chart here, you're saving money, you're paying off debt using other people's money. So now you got some leverage when it comes time to invest in more properties and starting a business. So basically, you have a way to kind of leverage this asset to generate more money for you. And of course, the disadvantage is that it's a rental property, right? So you're not going to be 100% occupied, so you have to do tenant searches and rent collection. People are sometimes not going to pay, and the maintenance gets be a little bit more of an issue when other people are living in the property. It just seems like the more people are there, the more stuff tends to break. So I don't know, but so we'll look at just to get an idea of, I guess, the realisticness of these numbers here. The first one, the last one I saw today, they gave an example where the guy went out and got a duplex, and the mortgage on the thing was $2,500 a month. The rent on half of the duplex he had at $1,800, so he was basically netting out only having to pay $700 for his half of the duplex. So I don't know how realistic that is. So I just took a look at in my local market here in Chalmette. This is some data that comes from Altos that we use all the time. It's updated every week. But so right now, if you're looking at just numbers, just we're not adjusting for any kind of fractional usage or anything like that. But just looking at just numbers, just to get an idea of what we can expect. Right now, median price is $225. Median rent is $1,675. So when we look at an amortization, so assuming we finance the entire $225, which is something that is nice about the strategy, because you don't have to worry about the 20% down payment. That's another thing we didn't mention earlier. But so because you can get these FHA type loans, and these loans that require next to nothing down, you can finance the whole thing. So you're not coming out of cash, not out of pocket any kind of cash. However, our scheduled payment here, based on the 8% rate, which seems to be maybe a little bit on the high side for the residential stuff, but that's what we're using here. That monthly payment will be $1,650 a month. So going back to that $1,675 median rent, this is a little bit risky, right? With such a low margin for error here, it could be bad. But at least if that 1,675 number holds true, and you do have to consider that's consideration of renting an entire house. So maybe we need to cut that in half, and maybe it's still a good deal. But it's work. So I guess we always want to get back to that. So rental property IRS sees it as passive income and all that kind of stuff, but it's not really that passive, and there is some risk. However, this house hacking strategy is something that can work. So obviously we want to try and get a better interest rate and lower priced property and a higher rent, and manage all those variables to the extent that you can. But it can work, and it is a good idea. It's good. It actually is a good way to get started, but not the only way. So there's other options maybe, but and investing in stock market or storage properties. There's other things even within the commercial real estate world that might also be good for you. But so be careful when you're watching the TikTok house hack videos. So that's that. Another strategy came up, and this is more, I guess, geared towards when your business is going along and maybe you have just started, or you've been going for a while and you need some capital. So I'm seeing a lot of talk about credit stacking, and what that basically is you get, first of all, you got to get your credit score, personal credit score, up kind of high. So you got to maintain that. But then you go and if you're operating rental properties or business and you have a separate LLC, you can obtain credit cards in the business name. So now keep in mind that there will be a reporter on the business name once you get them, but initially the requirements to actually qualify are going to require a inquiry. So it's going to look at your personal credit first to make sure that you're credit worthy, and then these cards can be issued in a business name. So going forward, you're using these things, and they're not reporting your personal credit. Many of them have these 0% introductory rates that go for a year to as long as 18 months is what I've seen. So assuming you're making money, you can pay that thing down. That's a great way to kind of get some capital, and it's much easier than going to a bank and getting a loan. A lot of cases, I'm finding that the bank requirements require some collateral and financial statements, and these type of cards usually can be obtained just by your personal credit score and projected financials, so you don't have to come up with a lot of reports and a lot of paperwork. So this is one way to do it. But going forward to our second point here, we definitely want to keep our personal utilization low, and this is going to let us do that, because now these 0% business cards are going to show up on another set of data points for credit reporting, and that will help you, because when the introductory rate ends, if you don't have this thing completely paid off, and hopefully your business is taken off, and that will be the case, you're going to have to do something. And if your credit score is high, it's not a big deal to go get a new introductory card. We've seen this happen. Some of the examples on one of the coaching services that I utilize, one of the co-students, whatever, did that with Chase, and it worked out great. Basically, same bank, they were able to get another card with the same bank with a new 0% rate. So there's a different card. So Chase has like the Inc. Business Unlimited and Business Cash. They got 4 or 5 different cards, but within the same bank, they were able to apply for a different card. So they went from Inc. to some other card maybe, and by doing that, we were able to get a new 0% rate, and they were able to transfer the money in. And there's a little bit of a charge. It's not completely free, but at least it didn't incur the high interest rate. So there's that. Also, if your business is strong, when you see that the expiration is coming down the line, you can go ahead and do a regular line of credit or bank loan, because at this point, if you've been making payments on a credit card, now your business credit score is high. If you've kept things under control on your personal side, your personal score should be up by now. So you can look a lot better to a bank a year down the line than you were earlier. So now some of those lines of credit and other options will probably be available to you. So definitely be very strategic with when we put in our application. So like everything else I tell you, when you're dealing with banks and lending, get the money before you need it, because if you wait till the 0% expires and now you got interest charges racking up, and all things could be going in the wrong direction and making you look a little less desirable to the bank. So get the money before you need it is another point I probably should have added to the slide. So be aware of that. So I think I've seen a few clients, now we kind of had a chance to look back at some of the year-end numbers here. One I just looked at yesterday, had an American Express card, hadn't raised the line of credit, and hadn't kind of managed it very well. So now he's got a balance on the card, and the 0% rate expired a long time ago. And if we would have looked at this before things got more fully utilized, some other options would have been out there to help this guy. Definitely save some interest and look better for if he needs it. If any kind of future expansion is now kind of on hold because his credit card balances are high. So manage it is in the same way that you manage everything else that you do. With the revenue and expenses, manage your credit score and your credit, availability, just like everything else in your business. All right. So another thing that popped up on one of the other TikTokers that I watch. That deals a lot with IRS tax debt. So if you've gotten yourself in a situation where you had some debt and that debt is out there for a while and it's been assessed, and you possibly could have been making payments on it, but sometimes things will happen on your personal income side of things that will let you get some more favorable treatment from the IRS on that tax debt. So one possibility that was mentioned, that I want to reiterate it here, is if you can get yourself into what they call currently non-collectible status. So what that is when you're making money and you got assets and you owe some tax, you're not walking away from it. So when you see these ads for these deals with it, they tout this fresh start initiative and they'll get you down to zero. That's not realistic in most cases. So, however, though, if you have a house and there's no equity in it because maybe you financed the thing and haven't been making payments on it for a while, so there's no way for you to sell a house to pay off the IRS because there's not enough equity. Possibly may have lost a job or taken some kind of downsizing pay cut. And because when they look at these when they calculate how much they think you can afford to pay, they look at what you're making. They look at there's some table out there with certain living expenses that they will allow, and then whatever's left over after accounting for those two factors, they want you to pay. But sometimes that number ends up being a negative number. So when that happens, as far as a creditor goes, IRS will put you on as currently non-collectible status, and they'll stop sending collection notices. They'll stop otherwise pursuing the debt for a certain period of time. And a lot of times what happens is, the IRS is supposed to review that stuff every year and put you back in a regular collectible status and, work on a installment deals or whatever. But when you're in a currently non-collectible status, nothing happens. And sometimes what we find is that they don't take you out of that status. So when you do get another job and you're making money and things are better, they'll still leave you in that status. So basically not making payments, nothing's happening, and if they let it go too long, there is a statute of limitations where the tax debt just goes away. So we've seen a couple cases where people have gotten themselves into non-collectible status, and that 10-year statute of limitation expires, and the debt just goes away. So something to consider. It's a possibility there if you find yourself in a bad situation with the debt. It's not the end of the world. So before I would sell my house or refinance anything else, I would look at getting myself into this non-collectible status as in most cases a better option. So that's it. So closing thoughts here for the week. My daily stoic quotes came across, and today the topic was to be more present in your life. So we're quoting Marcus Aurelius here, and so he was an emperor in Rome at the time when, as was frequently at the time, a lot of wars going on, a lot of expansion, just a lot of stress going on. He had some personal illnesses. There was a big plague going on at the time. Just all kind of, from every way you can think about it, Marcus Aurelius was getting hit. So stressful time to be a leader, but he still found a time to work out and improve his wrestling. So in one of his journals here, he laments the fact that he's all stuff's going on, but he is carving out some time to make himself, work on his wrestling technique and on. But he's not being a better human being. So he's kind of saying, "Oh, look, man, I'm working on this physical thing here, when I should be just as relentless improving my home life, right?" So, I guess the takeaway here is we should all work on being more present. So those relationships with our family and all, and being available, and it's not so distracted by not only your main job. We know that's definitely stressful, but maybe don't focus on some of the more inward-facing things like working out or whatever, when people at home might also need you. So be more present. That's something I know I'm weak at, and I'll just mention that for whoever needs to hear that message. So with that, get out there and enjoy your weekend. Football season is underway, so life is good and the weather's getting better, and we'll see you out here next week.